This new series finds its inspiration in a mix between found photographs, like this picture of the four siblings, which was the starting point of the show, but also photos that I took. It brings, I think, a new way of approaching portraiture and light and colors as something way more bright. When I found this image of the siblings in the thrift shop, I don't know anything about them. I can kind of guess what era it is, but they're standing in front of a wall. I don't know what happened just before, I don't know what happened just after this moment. And all that is what will be created in the painting in a way. And so my first desire for these kids in this picture was to give them a garden and a house. So I started imagining what kind of gardens I would be in, what kind of house. They don't have shoes on, like one of the smaller ones is barefoot. So I imagine him walking in the grass. This grass maybe is a bit wet, and like this kind of very sensorial impression I can get. Wherever they come from, they all at some point will end up being in this painting, in this mental space, in this different time. The link between my show is always the focus on relationship between people. So there was the group. For a long time I focused my portraits were group portraits, and how do you stand in a group, how much space you take, how much space you share. And then from the group I narrowed down to the couple, which was the theme of my last show at Perrotin in Hong Kong last year. The couple through desire, love, sexuality, tension, breakup. This year I think it's a new step, which is we're more about family, the link between brothers and sisters and groups of siblings. So it's a different kind of bond that I'm now focusing on. What holds my attention with a face and triggers a desire to paint, I think it's a lot has to do with mystery, with something which is constantly moving. I don't think you can fix an identity or describe someone in a simple definition. I think everyone is very complex and a multitude, and I think I was always drawn to painting because it's a medium that allows me to represent people in a way that also respects this very complex way of dealing with identity. I think for me also painting a portrait is a very tender gesture, brush strokes, the way I apply them, the way I care for my paintings, the time I take, the relationship to time in painting has also to do with the way I care for the people I'm painting. So painting is caring for me. When I start a canvas, I apply a first layer of neon color. Sometimes it's orange or pink, can be yellows. In this show, it's a lot of oranges. But these neon colors are for me a way of installing my subjects in a mental space. Like the neon is not something you can find. The phosphorescent light is not in nature, it's not in the human body, it's not in portraits. And sometimes you can still see these colors peeking through the painting, but some other times it's mostly recovered, so you just have this feeling there's light underneath. I'm mainly painting people, so it actually, for me, has to do also with underneath the skin. You know, there's something, or like most of the portrait I do, the people have their eyes open and will never close their eyes. So it also has to do with a special light which will not fade away, so it's like a memory which can't be erased. The first thing I have in mind is colors, more than actually a composition or a drawing. I really think in colors. I take notes. If I'm not in the studio and I have a little notepad, I would just write down a list of colors just to remember what I was thinking of. And then I look back at this list of colors and straight away I remember, oh yeah, I wanted to make this painting about this and that. That's how I think, that's how I interact, that's how I build an image. I started these paintings of this show Siblings in 2019 in a world which was very different than what we're living in now. Now it's worldwide pandemic, the lockdown in most of the big cities and the smaller villages too. These paintings have evolved in a very surprising way for me because they became history or something about the past as they were absolutely present at the time I started them. But this sunny afternoon where I was with these kids playing soccer seems years ago now. It's quite interesting because one of the paintings is actually from kids who lived 100 years ago and the other ones are from pictures I took a few months ago, but now they're all reunited in this painting world and they are in a different time.